Good day, everyone. I will be discussing another topic of pointer in C, and prior to my discussion, I would like to uh, request for those who are not yet subscriber of this YouTube channel. By the way, this is my YouTube channel, kuyaeggworld, and it talks about my life. I have videos for my personal activities, and I do have videos for programming tutorials. Okay, and please click subscribe, and if sharing is not an issue for you, do some sharing of this YouTube channel so as to increase my subscribers, and of course to give a lot of energy on my side to create more videos on programming tutorials. Okay, so I will be discussing two topics today, and I'll be comparing the both topics, and along the way I'll be creating program, and I'll explain the program line by line, right? And in between I'll be giving inputs in as much as my technical know-how in programming is concerned. Okay, so here I have here an online compiler. Okay, so I am going to discuss what is this call by value. There are actually two programming styles in C. The first one is when you are going to create a program using a function. Okay, and you have this call by value. You'll be from main program. You'll be invoking a function, right? And along the way you'll be calling value, right? And we have this function programming style wherein instead of calling a particular function through value, you'll be calling a particular function through address or reference. So that's what I'm going to discuss. I am going to differentiate call by value against call by reference. Okay, so what I'm going to create right now is actually a program, and I call it call by value. All right, so here we'll have this include stdio.h, right? And in main, the usual starting point of a program. Okay, and since we are going to apply call by value way of doing things, so I'll be having this function. Okay, and I am going to use two parameters in here, x and y, as integer variables, and then here I might be as well using x and y as my integer variables, right? And I'll be storing 20 and 30 to x and y respectively, right? So at any part of my program, when I'm going to use x, I am good as using 20. Same with y, I am good as using 30, right, value. And then here we can check, right? We can check as to what is the value of x, right? So that's, and also we can also check as to what is the value of y also, so x and y. Right, that's it. And to make it users friendly, we'll try to inform the user in a value. These values are actually values before calling a function. Okay, right, so that's it. And then after having x and y values, we can call a function, change value, this one. And when we call a function, we'll try to pass the value of x and y. So this kind of programming or function programming is the so-called call by value. We tend to call a function through value. We're bringing two values, the x and y. So good as I'm bringing 20 and 30. Okay, so that's it. And then after all these things, after calling a function, then we can check as to how much is the value of x and y, right? So we have here the same statement prior to the calling of a function, and we have here the same statements also to display x and y after calling a function. And then, right, we'll try to have this line as part of the syntax, and then we'll create our function, change value. This is actually a function, and we have these two parameters, x and int y. Okay, so what's the inside of this? We'll try to increase the value of y and x. Okay, and then after increasing the value of y and x, then we'll try to check as to how much is the value of x. And this one, by the way, here, let's go back to the main. After, right, we have these values before calling a function, and we have these values after calling a function, and here we have these values during calling of a function. And let's check as to how much is the value of x and y prior to calling a function, and how much is the value of x and y before or during the calling of a function while you are within the function change value. And after all, we'll try to check also as to how much is x and y after calling, after getting out from the function. Okay, so here we'll try to execute the program and check if what is then when we tend to call by value. I need to have this \n to move our cursor to the next line, right? And here we have this again, \n and \n, and we'll try to have double \n to have an interval between a vacant line between the three sets of values before calling a function, after calling, and during calling of a function. Okay, so let's run it again and let's see. Now look at that. Alright, before calling a function, the value of x and y is 20 and 30. Okay, and values during calling a function, while you are inside the function, while you are trying to increase the value of x and y, x plus plus and y plus plus, alright, while you are within change value of function, how much is x and y? So the values of x and y during the calling of a function is 21 and 31. Why is that so? It's because we had increased, right? We increase it to 1. Y plus plus means x is equal to x plus 1, x plus plus, and y plus plus means y is equal to y plus 1. So we are increasing the value of x by 1, same with y also by 1. And then here, values of calling a of x and y after calling a function. Once we get out from this function, how much then is the value of x and y? And it says here the value of x and y is still 20 and 30. So that's called by value. Now how it works? How it works? Now I'm going to discuss here. Look at this. Here in these first two lines, we are trying to store 20 and 30 to x and y, right? And then we did display, right? We try to display the value of x and y. Of course, this is it, right? The value of x is 20 and the value of y is 30. Now, after that, we try to call a function x and y, change value. And when we call change value, right, we bring 20 and 30. And when we bring 30 and 20 and 30, when we get inside change value, 20 is being received by x, and y is being received, 30 is being received by y, right? And then after receiving the value, we try to increase the value of, right, this x, and we try to increase the value of this y. Now this is how it how it works, the call by value. When we call a function, we bring two values, 20 and 30. And take note, right? Take note that our x and y here are two different variables, right? When we try to call change value, we are bringing the value of x and y, and this x and y are two different x and y here. Alright, so that is why when we increase the value of x by 1 and when we increase the value of y by 1, we are trying to increase this kind of x and this kind of y. That's why we have this 31 and 21. We increase it by 1, right? And when we get out from this change value function and go back to the main, the next statement is, right, we try to print what is the value of x and y after calling. And this x and y here doesn't know about the x and y here at change value, right? This x and y here refers to the x and y, right, that contains 20 and 30. That's why when we print the value of x and y after calling, the value of x and y after calling remains 20 and 30, right? So meaning whatever value that you're trying to pass as parameters from a particular function, when there are some changes of values in there, right, the main program has nothing to do with the changes. It will not take effect. So if your x and y is 20 and 30, and when you tend to call a function and you're trying to bring 20 and 30, and there are some changes in there because we tend to increase the value of x by 1 and y by 1, and it becomes 21 and 31. Doesn't mean your 21 and 31 there will in effect change also the 20 and 30. It remains 20 and 30. You're just trying to change the other value of x and y in there. Okay? That's why when we print the value of x and y at the main, the value is the same, 20 and 30. Okay? That's call by value. Right? Call by value. Now, what if applying the same principle, the same program, right? But then instead of calling a function through value, we'll try to call a function by way of address. Instead of passing the value of x and y, which is 20 and 30, what we are going to pass is the address of x and y, not the value. That's call by reference. Okay, so let's do it. Call by reference. Here, no, we'll just preserve this one, and we'll try to create a new program and a new new window here. This is call by reference, right? And then here, what is this? Include stdio.h, right? And then we'll try to create a function, and since we are trying to pass address, right, instead of value, it's called by reference. So we'll declare two variables, x and y, but then this time these are pointer variables, right? A while ago we did use the same function, but then we tend to declare x and y as ordinary variable that will only store values. This time we are trying to declare x and y as pointer variable, and eventually it will store addresses, right? So here and what is this? We'll try to have our main function, alright, and okay, we'll try to declare x and y here, right, and we'll try to store, how much was that? 20, and our y was 30, right? Same with here. Alright, so this is our main, and after all this one, we'll try to copy na lang here, right? We'll copy this one, alright, and we'll print. So similar to the previous program, right? But then on the next line, now instead of calling a function by value, right? Because we are bringing the value of x and y, all right? So we'll try to call a function not by value but by reference. So we'll try to call a function and pass the address of x and y. Alright. So here, look at this. Change value. This is actually a function that we are going to create in a while. And then instead of passing the value of x, we are now passing the address of x. And no problem, because x is a pointer variable and is now holding the address of x and y. Right. So this is it. And what's next? After calling a function by value, and here after calling a function by reference, we'll try to check as to what is the right, the value of x and y. We'll try to check. And after this one, we'll try to issue a command return 0. Alright, and here, so if you look at it, right, they are actually the same. It's the same. The only difference is here. When we call a function, we are trying to pass parameters through address. We have this address operator, ampersand, and in here, call a value that we executed a while ago. We did call a function, but then instead of passing parameter address, we are passing the value of x. Let's call a value, and this one is called by reference. And here, let's try to create function for change value. Alright, and here we must have two pointer variable x and y. Alright, and then in here we can we'll try to increase the value of right, and I'll try to explain this one in a while. Okay, here, look at this. On our call by value, we just increase the value of x and y, this x. Alright, so this x receives 20 plus 1 is 21, and this y receives 30 plus 1 is 31. That's why we have this 21 and 31. Okay, but here in our call by reference, we cannot say as here, right, this one, because this x is an ordinary variable, and the x and y here are actually pointers, right, pointer variables. And if you can recall on my previous video, we have this pointer arithmetic, wherein the process will start from right to left. Okay, so if you are not going to enclose, right, x and if you are not going to enclose this with parentheses, what will happen is our program will increase first x prior to extracting the value of this one, and it will produce an awkward result. Right, so what we did is we'll try to enclose this with close and open parentheses, so that what C will do is C will tend to extract what is the value of this, because this asterisk x is pointing to what? Variable x here. Anyway, I'm going to explain this one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And what's next is we'll try to check as to what is the value of x and y. So similar to here, right, call by value, and here the only difference is on the main program we tend to pass addresses here, but in call by value we tend to pass values, right? And here in our change value function, we tend to extract this pointer variable and increase it by 1, same with y, and check the value. But here we just increase the value of x and y and then display. So we'll try to execute this program. Please follow my screen. Alright, it's a little bit technical, but then I know you can. I'm sorry, I am trying to display the address of X and Y. So there's something wrong with my program. No, sorry. Since X and Y are pointer variables, so I need to extract whatever is the value pointing at. Right? I think this is correct. We'll try to execute the program. So here, look at this. Our values of X and Y before calling a function is 20 and 30. During, right? No, I'm sorry. This must be during. Okay, and we'll run it again. I'm sorry. So here, our values of X and Y before calling a function is 20 and 30, of course, right? And our values of X and Y during the calling, right, is 21 and 31. Here, while we are inside the change value function, the value of X and Y increases by 1. And then when we get out of the function and go back to the main program, main function, we try to check, right? We try to check the value of X and Y. And the value of X and Y after the function, after calling a function, is how much? 20 and 30. I'm sorry. This is not, yeah. There's something wrong with my program. No, this must be right. These are actually pointers. Okay, so I'm sorry. No, this must be the one that I'm going to execute. So we'll try to execute this one, right? And let us see, right? So the values of X and Y before calling a function is 20 and 30. And the values of X and Y during, while we are within the function, is 21 and 31. Okay, so here, while we are inside this, and the values of X and Y after a function, when we go back, right, the values of X and Y is 21 and 31. Why is that so? In here, calling by value, the values of X and Y remains 21 and 30, right? It only changes when we get inside, right? Why? Because we are only passing value. Okay, the X and Y here is a big difference to the X and Y here in your in our function. We only pass 20 and 30. It has nothing to do with the address and the content. Okay, we only pass 20 and 30. And when we get inside, right, when we get inside the function, we did increase the value of X and Y, the different X and Y. That's why it becomes 21 and 31. When we go back to the main program, the value of X and Y remains the same. It's 20 and 30 still. But here in our passing by reference, right, when we check the value before calling a function, the value is 20 and 30. When we call a function and try to check the value goes to 21 and 31. It increases by 1. And when we get out from the function and go back to the main program, when we check the value changes to 21 and 31. Why? Because this is it. This is the difference between calling a function by value and calling a function by reference. So here, our change value function is using pointer variable X and Y. And this pointer variable X and Y will hold address, not value of a particular variable. So wherever these two pointer variable are pointing at, alright, the address of that is being stored to X and Y. Okay. Now, in our main program, our X and Y here are two different X and Y compared to the function. Okay. These are normal and ordinary variable X and Y. And we stored 20 and 30. That's why when we check the content, our program displays 20 and 30. Alright? Now, when we get inside, or when we call change value our function, we are bringing the address of X and Y. A while ago in our call by value, when we call a function, we did bring the value of x and y, but here we bring the address of x and y, right? So when we pass it to change value, we tend to get inside here, and the address of, right, the address of x and y is being received by this pointer variable x and y. So at this time, right, this x now, which is actually a pointer variable, is now pointing at the address of this. Okay? And this y here is now pointing at the address of y. And every time we extract these pointer variables, at any time of the moment when there are some changes, right? At the same time, we did change also the x and y here, because we are holding the addresses of this. Alright? So here, when we get inside change value, we try to increase the value of this pointer variable. This pointer variable is pointing at x at the main. And when we try to say star x or indirection operator, what is this? Asterisk x, we are trying to extract a connection between this variable, pointer variable, to the x variable in the main program. And when we say x plus plus, we are actually changing the value of 20 in the main. And when we say open and close parentheses, pointer variable y plus plus, we are actually trying to change the value of y at the main. Right? So that is why when we check, right, when we check the value of x and y here, we are actually getting what? Here we are actually getting 21 and 31. And after all the execution of the function, when we get back here at the main and perform these 3 lines of statements, we did display 21 and 31. A big difference to 20 and 30. Alright. Why? Because, like I said, when there are some changes in here at the function, good as we are also changing the value of 20 and 30 here. So that's the difference between calling a function by value and calling a function by address or reference. I hope I was able to explain the topic, the difference between call by value and call by reference. A little bit technical, but I hope I was able to share my know-how on this, and I hope you like this video. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for clicking subscribe. God bless you. God is good.